Hello guys, and welcome back to this new episode. Today we are going to talk about Tutankhamun and his sarcophagus, his tomb, his discovery, and many other factors. So stick with us, join us right now in watching this video, and let's see what we have found out on Tutankhamun. Let's start. So, point number one. He wasn't such like good-looking guy. First of all, he was very young. His kingdom was extremely short because he was in power from 1333 to 1323 before Christ, and he suffered from many possible health issues. First, something we do know from X-rays is definitely equinism. Equinism is a bone disease, right? So he was pretty much limping all the time. In his tomb, there have been found more than 130 walking canes, right? Walking sticks or canes. And so we do know he suffered from that. On top of that, he had huge teeth. And one more thing is that he suffered from malaria. That is what we know. And the second thing is that most definitely he suffered from hormonal imbalances. Hormonal imbalances might be due simply to the fact that he was the son of their parents, and their parents were siblings, sister and brother, that joined together and gave birth to Tutankhamun. So why do we know so much Tutankhamun? We don't know so much Tutankhamun in terms of what he did in his kingdom. He is not famous for that. Also, his kingdom, as we said, was very short, but we do know him because the discovery of his tomb was extraordinary. Who discovered the tomb was most definitely Howard Carter. And Howard Carter had an incredible career. At a certain point, very young, 25 years of age, he was chief inspector of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, right? At the Egyptian Ministry of Culture. So directly responding to the Egyptian Ministry of Culture. However, there was a quarrel that broke out where a group of French tourists and some Egyptian guards got into it, and that forced Howard Carter to resign from his place. Then luckily he met George Herbert, who was 5th Earl of Covernor, and George Herbert was the one that financed all of his discovery, right? He provided the economic resources. So economic resources, and for a relatively long time, for 5 years, the excavations were completely unfruitful. So the Earl of Covernor was like, I'm done, I'm not gonna be anymore your financier, you need to find somebody else, right? But Howard Carter convinced him to provide the money for one last session, one last period of time. And so the second day of the last set of excavations, they found the 22 steps that led into the tomb. And so when Howard Carter was inside, somebody asked him, okay, do you see anything? And he said, yes, I see wonderful things. Then he managed to open a breach in the access road, and then from that he penetrated into the tomb. Now, when he saw the tomb, of course, there's the tomb and then there's the sarcophagus, right? And the tomb was a very rich, but also quite hidden, because the king had died unexpectedly, right? And according to the tradition, the pharaohs would start amassing from day one all the riches that they wanted to carry with themselves. There was a lot of objects that were just like in their put, all in one place, and so that is certainly something that Howard Carter found. But also this tomb was located, in the actual Nefertiti tomb, and was hidden by Ramesses the sixth, and that is because, again, the pharaoh Tutankhamun died quite early, and therefore there wasn't the chance to actually give him proper burial. That doesn't mean, though, that the condition of the sarcophagus were horrible. On the contrary, 70 days were exactly the days needed to mummify the body. So the body was actually mummified, and then on his face, kind of like glued to his face, we could also say, there was this funerary mask made of gold, and gold was quite heavy. Also lapis lazuli and precious stones, and it was so heavy to the point that it weighed something like 11 kilos, which is not a joke. Anyway, so curiosity number 6, I believe, right? So the funerary chamber in which Tutankhamun's sarcophagus was found is known as KB62, and is exactly where Tutankhamun rests. Found out February 1923, but Howard Carter was able to access to it only in 1925. Found in February 1923, but Howard Carter was able to access to it only in 1925. There were 3 sarcophagi, one wedged into the other, and then eventually enclosed in a 4th quadrangular sarcophagus. And then there was a golden paint, and protective goddesses were portrayed, specifically Isis, Nephthys, Neith, and Selkis. Curiosity number 7. Other curiosity is that Tutankhamun was linked to a curse. Now, this idea of a curse was something that spread as a rumor only in 1923. The reason was the death of Kavanaugh. But to be completely fair, Kavanaugh had died because an insect bite that then transformed into pneumonia, and then eventually that led to his death when his health was already not quite there. Howard Carter died only 17 years after discovering Tutankhamun's tomb, at the age of 65, and other people that were accompanying Howard Carter died at the age of 73, so there is no actual curse to what we could say. Now, curiosity number 7 is concerning the deaths. When Howard Carter reached the tomb of Tutankhamun, what he found out was that that tomb had been looted at least twice. The first time probably a few days after the burial, and the second time something like 15 years after the burial. So the first time the person had participated to the burial, because the idea is that the first theft was realized by somebody who really knew the disposition of the tomb, so must have participated to the burial. The second time the tomb was looted was something like 15 years later, and that was carried out as an attempt to penetrate the tomb, but the person reached only the outermost chambers. And that is why when Howard Carter reached the tomb, he found out a mummy that was intact, even though 3,000 years had gone by, and also a treasure trove of 5,398 objects. Last two curiosity. So point number 9 is that the tomb the tomb did not only contain Tutankhamun's sarcophagi, all three of them, in which he was like buried underneath or in the middle, I would say, but there were also found 2 fetuses, and possibly those 2 fetuses were the daughters of the pharaoh. And then point number 10 is that the 3rd sarcophagus was glued to the base of the middle one, and it was glued with a sticky resin that looked like pitch, and a lot of solvents and chemical tools were used, to the point also of using heat from lamps, torches, but that also didn't work out. So at a certain point, hammer was also deployed to uncover the mummy, the body of Tutankhamun. Now guys, with that being said, I certainly enjoyed this video and like researching it, because I found out like a bunch of things that I didn't know, so I hope that that is also true, at least in part, for you all. But let us know your thoughts, comment below, let us know what you think about all of what we have said so far, and then we're gonna talk next time in our new episode about a new different topic. With that being said, don't forget to like the video if you have enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and we'll talk some more next time. Bye guys!